Greetings, everyone. Hope all of you are having a fantastic day today. So, I want to get back into Pathfinder and continue with our party member builds. And I figure we'll do Woljif next. He's probably my favorite party member out of all the available options. Not so much because of his personality, which is also fantastic, but because of his utility as a character. Woljif is probably the only one that I feel like fits into any team. It doesn't matter what kind of team you're trying to create. Woljif can just meld into there and figure out a lane for himself to be very effective. And as we go through this build, you'll see why. So I'm going to go ahead and go with this female tiefling picture because this is the picture of my Lich playthrough and I'm sick of seeing it. So if we go next and we go rogue, and then he is an Eldritch Scoundrel. We'll read this. Students of arcane magic, whatever this word is, ledger domain, and stealth. Eldritch Scoundrels are a rare breed of adventurer, most commonly found seeking lost and valuable arcane writings in the ruins of fallen empires. So he's basically a rogue who also has some spellcasting ability. If we go next, he's a tiefling. Now, I tried to pick the heritage that most closely resembles the attribute points Woljif has. So that would be Grimspawn. Don't pay attention to the description. It does not fit his personality at all. But the +2 racial bonuses to dexterity and intelligence and the -2 score to wisdom lines up perfectly with the attributes that he has in a way that none of the rest of them do. So if we go next, unfortunately, Woljif is yet another party member whose ability points we cannot reproduce in character creation or in the mercenary mechanism. So he's got a 10 on strength. He's got a 20 on dexterity, 13 on constitution. He's got an 18 on intelligence, and then we'll bump up dexterity as much as we can. He's got this 8 on wisdom, and then he also has a 12 on charisma. Obviously, there's no way for us to be able to do that, but that gives you an idea of what he's working with. As you can see from his skill points, he's got a ton of skills that he has a class skill in, and he has 5 points to work with for now, which will increase over the period of your playthrough if you're following this build. I don't remember what skills he actually starts with, but honestly, it doesn't really matter. When you get him, you decide what you need to fit in with your particular team and then just build him up with it. He can get up to speed in any of these skills very quickly. So we're just going to pick the first 5 that are in the list. All right, and for feats, he has 2-weapon fighting. Your penalties on attack rolls for fighting with 2 weapons are reduced. The penalty for your primary hand lessens by 2, and the one for your offhand lessens by 6. His background is a pickpocket. Pickpocket adds trickery and stealth to the list of her skills. She also gains a +2 bonus on initiative rolls. Good stuff. All right, and then the level 1 spells. So Burning Hands, Color Spray, Flare Burst, Grease, Hypnotism, Mage Armor, and Magic Missile. Chaotic Neutral. We won't mess with appearance. Very confident. And next. Anything I need to go through here? We'll talk a little bit about Sneak Attack. So, of course, Woljif is a rogue, which means he gets access to Sneak Attack. If a character can catch an opponent when he is unable to defend himself effectively from her attack, she can strike a vital spot for extra damage. The character's attack deals extra damage anytime her attack would be denied a dexterity bonus to AC, whether the target actually has a dexterity bonus or not, or when the character flanks her target. This extra damage is 1d6 and increases by 1d6 at later levels. This additional damage is precision damage and is not multiplied on a critical hit. The character must be able to see the target well enough to pick out a vital spot and must be able to reach such a spot. Also, Scribe Scrolls allows you to craft scrolls during camping. Okay, so that's level 1. Go on to level 2. All right, so as a rogue, you get access to a list of rogue talents that give you specific abilities. Woljif gets Weakening Wound. When making a sneak attack against a creature that has damage reduction, the character's attack reduces the damage reduction for 2 rounds by an amount equal to the character's level. This penalty to damage reduction does not stack. Good stuff. And Woljif gets Shocking Grass, right? Yep, Shocking Grass and Sleep. And Evasion. A character can avoid even magical and unusual attacks with great agility. If a character makes a successful reflex saving throw against an attack that normally deals half damage on a successful save, he instead takes no damage. A helpless character does not gain the benefit of evasion. Get these skills. Okay, and this is Double Slice. Your offhand weapon, while dual wielding, strikes with greater power. Add your strength bonus to damage rolls made with your offhand weapon. Finesse Training, Dagger. Whenever the rogue makes a successful melee attack with a dagger, she adds her dexterity modifier instead of her strength modifier to the damage roll. If any effect would prevent the rogue from adding her strength modifier to the damage roll, she does not add her dexterity modifier. And one more time, you go through level 1 spells. So you take Snowball and what's the other one he comes with? One of these level 1 powers. One more time. And you also get Danger Sense. At 3rd level, a rogue gains a +1 bonus on reflex saves to avoid traps and a +1 dodge bonus to AC against attacks made by traps. These bonuses increase by 1 every 3 rogue levels thereafter to a maximum of +6 at 18th level. All right, that's the Woljif you get. So now we're at the point when you actually pick him up and you have the ability to decide what he does and does not get. So first you choose an attribute. Now here's where you have to make a decision about how do you want to move forward with Woljif. There's a lot of flexibility with this character. He can be the guy who runs up with the 2 daggers and just slashes into people and gets the sneak attack damage. He can be the guy who stays back all the time and just flings out spells. Or he could be somewhat in between. Me personally, I like making him the guy who stands back and flings out spells. Because you get so many spell slots that he can basically just bomb on people the entire battle. And it's absolutely fantastic to watch. So I would say you should focus on intelligence. Build up the skills. All right, now, so you're at level 2. I would say the spells I use the most from here are either Scorching Ray or Burning Arc. Now, keep in mind, when it comes to sneak attack damage, it does apply to spells, but it has to be a spell that actually makes an attack roll. All right. So when it comes to Burning Arc, a target can attempt a reflex save throw, a reflex saving throw, so that it'll only be affected for half the damage. You're not rolling an attack, as opposed to Scorching Ray, where you may fire 1 ray plus 1 additional ray. Each ray requires a ranged touch attack to hit, and then deals the fire damage. So in order for your sneak attack damage to apply to what you're doing, you must be rolling an attack of some sort, and then it'll apply that damage if you are able to hit successfully. That means that when it comes to Woljif, you want to focus on spells that actually roll to hit, if at all possible. And some of these spell ranges, I feel like you probably just need to go ahead and go with the reflex power, because some of them are very powerful. But whenever possible, you want to use abilities that take full advantage of sneak attack. So we'll go with Scorching Ray here. You do get a second option, so you can, choose whatever you like. If you want some more flexibility, you can go with Burning Arc, because the advantage of Burning Arc, of course, is that it does hit multiple targets, as opposed to Scorching Ray, which only hits 1. But honestly, Woljif shouldn't be your only bomber, so there's probably somebody else in your team that is handling either crowd control or bombing everybody that you're going up against. And in addition, on level 4, you get 4 different injuries you could potentially apply to your opponents. So at 4th level, whenever a rogue deals sneak attack damage to a foe, she can also debilitate the target of her attack, causing it to take a penalty for 1 round. Bewildered. The target becomes bewildered, taking a -2 penalty to AC. The target takes an additional -2 penalty to AC against all attacks made by the rogue, and this increases over time. Disorienting injury. The target takes a -2 penalty on attack rolls. In addition, the target takes an additional -2 penalty on all attack rolls it makes against the rogue. Hampering injury. All the target speeds are reduced by half to a minimum of 5 feet. All right, level 4. Oops, level 5. All right, we get another feat. Accomplished Sneak Attacker. Your sneak attack damage increases by 1d6. Your number of sneak attack dice cannot exceed half your character level rounded up. So you might have noticed when we went through the first 3 levels, there was a thumbs down on this feat the whole time. And that's because you could have selected it, but it basically would have been a waste because you had so much sneak attack damage and your level was so low, this wouldn't have even counted for you. But it makes sense to take it now. All right, and we still only have level 2. You could pick whatever you like from here. I mean, there are a wealth of good options, blur, things of that nature, but honestly, I almost never use them. Woljif should be in the back. He shouldn't be getting hit. If he is getting hit, a lot of times you just want to light the person up ASAP and then move on to the other people that are in the back. So I don't pick a whole lot of defensive or crowd control powers for him, but you could do as you wish. You have to select something anyway. And now level 6. Same thing. And I just selected the first 2. Doesn't really matter to me. Because keep in mind as well, for Woljif, you have to manually pull each spell into a slot. So it's not like some other characters where any spells that you select will just be available in there for you at all times. All right, and now you get another feat, so we can scroll down here and get Spell Focus. And I personally would choose Evocation. I feel like Woljif should be damaging people. So, all right, now we're at level 3. So you got a couple of more options regarding what Evocation type of spell you want to take. You got Fireball, but again, it doesn't roll an attack, so I personally prefer not to use it. You have Lightning Bolt, but that goes along a straight line and it can hit your party members. So me personally, I don't like using that as well. So I prefer to take Battering Blast. You hurl a fist-sized ball of force resembling a spear of spikes to ram a designated creature. You must succeed on a ranged touch attack to strike your target. On a successful hit, you deal 1d6 points of force damage per 2 caster levels, maximum 5d6. For every 5 caster levels you possess beyond 5th, you gain an additional bar of force. In addition to that, if the bull rush succeeds, the force pushes the creature away from you in a straight line, and the creature must make a reflex save or fall prone. So it's a little bit of damage, a little bit of crowd control as well, and I feel like it works for Woljif. So I will go ahead and get that. And then haste is, it was a monster in Kingmaker, and it's just as fantastic here. The transmuted creatures move and act more quickly than normal. This extra speed has several effects. All allies within a 30-foot burst centered on target creature within close range. When making a full attack, a hasted creature may make 1 extra attack with its main weapon. The attack is made using the creature's full base attack bonus, plus any modifiers appropriate to the situation. This effect is not cumulative with similar effects, such as that provided by a speed weapon, nor does it actually grant an extra action, so you can't use it to cast a second spell, or otherwise take an extra action in the round. A hasted creature gains a +1 bonus on attack rolls, and a +1 dodge bonus to AC and reflex saves. Any condition that makes you lose your dexterity bonus to armor class, if any, also makes you lose the dodge bonuses. It's great stuff. Great stuff. Haste is just about always game changing. All right, now you get to even your intelligence out. Whoa. Oh, and because you have more intelligence now, you get more skill points. All right, so now we have a rogue trick. Another rogue talent. So you've got a lot of options here, but honestly, I don't particularly care for most of them. You can get a +4 bonus to perception. You can do a combat trick to pick another feat if you like. Um, Fast stealth. The ability allows the character to move at full speed using the stealth skill. When you're stealth, you're not going to need to move all that much. These focusing attacks allow you to attack a creature to take off a certain status on yourself. But no, you should just have enough saving throws where these statuses don't happen in the first place, or you just deal with them and move on. I don't need to select a feat to deal with them. Intimidating prowess. You don't have enough charisma for this to mean anything, or your strength regardless. This is to help with being nauseated or sickened? No. This is so that you don't get attacked when you're standing up for being prone. You're not going to be up front like that surrounded by people. This shouldn't be a problem. Boost to knowledge arcana. I'm good. Skill focus we'll come back to. Slippery mind gives you additional saving throws against things that would affect you mentally. Again, you should be casting buffs on yourself from your cleric or other classes that are going to protect you from that anyway. Slow reactions. Opponents damaged by the character's sneak attack can't make attack of opportunity for 1 round. I don't have my party members running around incurring a bunch of attacks of opportunities, so I'm good on this. Boost to lore nature. No, I'm good. Terrain mastery. The bonus does not increase with their level the way it does for the ranger class, so I would say this is not worth taking either. Immunity to difficult terrain. For what? Unbalancing trick. The rogue gains trip as a bonus feat, even if she does not meet the prerequisites. This would be great if you were fighting up front, but you're not, so no. Uncanny dodge. You're all the way in the back. You shouldn't be getting hit. What do you need this for? And underhanded trick. A rogue who selects his talent gains dirty trick as a bonus feat, even if she does not meet the prerequisites. Again, it would be great if you were in melee, but you're not, so I would say this doesn't work. Weapon focus. Again, if you were attacking with your daggers, this would help, but I would say it doesn't do anything for you. So I just go for skill focus, trickery. The skill checks for trickery definitely spike up in a major way. And so even having a character who's putting 1 in trickery every level, you will still end up in situations where randomly they won't be able to unlock it. The lock will jam, yada, yada, yada. You end up having to reload a save and interrupt your playthrough. So I think this is worth it, quite frankly. You get a +3 bonus on all checks involving trickery. If you have 10 or more ranks in trickery, this bonus increases to +6. Good stuff. All right. Now there are a couple of really, really nice buffs here at level 3. So protection from arrows is something that it's not plentiful in your party members. So it might be useful for Woljif to have it. And see invisibility is another option that might be useful for him to have. Resist energy is all your clerics and a bunch of other people have that. So I don't see the point in picking that up. All right, and level 9. And you get to pick another feat, and you can go with greater spell focus, evocation. And then you can get whatever you want here. Level 9. There we go. All right, so now you've got access to level 4 spells. You've got a couple of different options here. You've got Control Fireball, which is essentially Fireball, except it does very little damage to your party members. So that's pretty cool. And then you also have Dragon's Breath, which will breathe out a blast of energy at a particular area and do up to 12d6 worth of damage. I would say you basically need to choose between them. I do not particularly care for Ice Storm. Great magical hailstones pound down upon casting this spell, dealing 3d6 points of bludgeoning damage and 2d6 points of cold damage to every creature in the area. This damage only occurs once when the spell is cast. For the remaining duration of this spell, heavy snow and sleet rains down in the area. Creatures inside this area take a -4 penalty on perception skill checks, and the entire area is treated as difficult terrain. This doesn't do all that much damage, and it creates a situation that, yes, it can be hard for your foes, but it can also be hard for your party members as well. I just don't think it's worth it. So to me, and I'm sorry, there's one more down here, Volcanic Storm. In my opinion, completely worthless. Absolutely worthless. Basically the same thing as Ice Storm, except it's volcanic instead of ice everywhere. So I don't particularly care for those two. So I would say you choose between Control Fire and Dragon's Breath. I usually go for Control Fire. I like using powers where I don't have to worry about it affecting the party members. Then you also want to go ahead and choose Greater Invisibility. This spell functions like invisibility, except that it doesn't end if the subject attacks. The touched creature becomes invisible. If a check is required, an invisible creature has a plus 20 bonus on its stealth checks. The spell ends if the subject attacks any creature, except in this case. For purposes of this spell, an attack includes any spell targeting a foe or whose area of effect includes a foe. Exactly who is a foe depends on the invisible character's perceptions. Actions directed at unintended objects do not break the spell. Causing harm indirectly is not an attack. Blah, 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 blah. Why do you want this? Because when you're invisible, you get sneak attacks automatically. If the creature cannot see you, then your attack is considered as a sneak attack. So you can cast this on yourself at the beginning of a really hard battle and then blow up everything in sight. Awesome stuff. Advanced talents. After 10th level, a character can choose one of the advanced rogue talents in place of a rogue talent. Now we're at level 11. And we're going to go for Feat. And you kind of got two options here. You can either go for spell penetration and get started on that track, or you can go ahead and specialize in the spell. I'd say by this time, level 11, you probably want to go ahead and choose something you're going to specialize in to help break through some of the enemy's defenses. I would say it's probably going to be between Battering Blast, Control Fireball, or Dragon's Breath. So it pretty much comes down to which one do you want to use. Of course, Control Fireball and Dragon's Breath are going to do more damage at this point, but you probably have more cast available of Battering Blast. So it's up to you which one you would prefer. I'd probably go with Control Fireball. And Finesse Training, it doesn't matter at all what you choose here. I go for Cookeries because it reminds me of Knock Knock for Kingmaker, who I enjoy quite a bit. Okay, and level 4. There are no real buffs. I really like Protection from Energy is great, but there are other characters who should have that available. You can use, if you find yourself getting hit up a lot and Woljif is dying for some strange reason, you can use False Life if you like, give him a few more hit points, but I would say there's nothing else useful for you here. Okay. Level 12. All right, so now we have access to some of the more advanced rogue talents. I like the Spelling Attack. An opponent that is dealt sneak attack damage by a character with this ability is affected by a targeted dispel magic, affecting one of the spells active on the target. The caster level for this ability is equal to the character's level. And we're still at level 4 on that, so. All right, and 13. Get another feat. And so this time I will go with Spell Penetration. And out of all these, I personally would go with Fire Snake. You create a 50-foot line of flames. The Fire Snake affects all enemies in the line, avoiding allies. Creatures in the path of the Fire Snake take 1d6 points of fire damage per caster level, maximum 15d6. So, very, very good stuff. There also is, don't you have lightning something at this point? No, you don't have the lightning yet. So the only other one that, oh, there we go, is Cone of Cold. I don't like the cone because you're all the way in the back. It creates a lot of micromanagement to have to figure out where he's going to place this cone at. You could just set Fire Snake and just let it rip. So that's what I prefer. Cloud Kill is also great. You should have the spell that gives everyone immunity to poison. So being able to just lay down a cloud of poison that affects none of your party members, but is absolutely going through all of your foes, that's really nice. But it is conjuration, so it might be harder to break through whatever protections your enemies have at that particular time. Other than that, you can pick whatever you like from here. I might go with Break Enchantment. The spell frees victims from enchantments, transmutations, and curses. You can do whatever you like. All right. Level 15. And we get another feat. So we'll go Greater Spell Penetration. And still add level 5. Oh, and we got a bunch of extra points. So as you see, he gets a ton of skill points. That is not something you have to worry about at all. All right, so we have another rogue talent now. I like double debilitation. Whenever the character inflicts a penalty against a target using the debilitating injury class feature, they can select 2 penalties to inflict. The target can never be subject to more than 2 penalties in this way at one time. If any additional penalties are inflicted, any previous penalties immediately end. Any effect that heals damage to the target negates both of the penalties. All right, now you've got access to number 6. And the one I like the most out of all these is Hellfire ray. A blast of Hellfire blazes from your hands. You can fire 1 ray, plus 1 additional ray for every 4 caster levels beyond 11. Each ray requires a ranged touch attack to hit and deals 1d6 points of damage per caster level. Definitely appreciate that. Of course, Chain Lightning is always very nice as well. You can get that if you like. As far as buffs, I don't think there are any. You could use Fox's Cunning if you have multiple people who benefit from a bonus to intelligence. All right, and you get another feat. This time I will go Critical Focus. You are trained in the art of causing pain. You receive a +4 circumstance bonus on attack rolls made to confirm critical hits. And then, of course, you can choose whatever you want from here. Heroism Greater is absolutely fantastic. If you don't have a similar buff, that'll give you a +4 bonus on morale, attack rolls, saves, and skill checks. It also gives you immunity to fear and temporary hit points. So absolutely awesome. I do not like Sirocco at all. It's basically a wall of fire, but it can affect your party members. True Seeing is fantastic, but there's also a communal version of True Seeing, so you wouldn't want to use it here. So you have some options about what you might want to add. Oh, I forgot about this. Azada Champions. Develop this spell to deal with fiends with unknown resistances. You must make a successful ranged touch attack to hit your target with the ray, which deals 2d6 points of acid damage, 2d6 points of cold damage, 2d6 points of electricity damage, and 2d6 points of fire damage. This is awesome, but it only affects 1 person, whereas Hellrake will affect multiple people. All right, so now that we've built up all the levels, let's go through the mythic path. First and foremost, abundant casting. You have learned a way to increase the number of spells you can cast per day. You can cast 4 more spells per day of the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd levels each. No brainer. Next, I would go... Oh, Mythic Sneak. I kept looking for Accomplished Sneak Attacker. Mythic Sneak Attacker. Your sneak attacks deal an additional 1d6 damage. You get your 2nd Mythic level still very early in the game. You don't have quite enough spells for you to be able to go through a full rotation without getting to your cantrips or resorting to your daggers. So having some additional sneak attack damage that you can pump out really helps you at this point in the game. So I would go ahead and pick it up. Next up, same once again, improved abundant casting. You have studied a way to increase the number of spells you can cast per day. You can cast 4 more spells per day of 4th, 5th, and 6th levels each. All right, next, scroll down, spell penetration. Add half your mythic rank to caster level checks to overcome spell resistance. If you have greater spell penetration, which he does, add your full mythic rank instead. Very powerful stuff. And then finally, you have mastered a way to increase the number of spells you can cast per day. You can cast 4 more spells per day of 7th, 8th, and 9th levels each. You'll probably get to this point before 7th level spells are available to you, but you'll get that 7th level before you swing back around to mythic abilities, so it's still worth taking it here. And then finally, I will go ahead and do spell focus. Choose a school of magic you already have spell focus in. The bonus to save DCs provided by spell focus and greater spell focus for that school increases by 1. All right. And that's the build that gives you everything you need. So if I go ahead and look at abilities, every time you do sneak attack, you can add either a bewildering or disorienting injury. And then in your spell book, you can hit them for 7 times with Hellfire. 9 times with Fire Snake. 9 times with Control Fireball. 10 times with Battering Blast, along with having, probably not 10 times because you want to have some of these buffs in there if you don't have another character that can throw the buffs out. A bunch of times with Scorching Ray. I mean, Woljif just becomes a character that can explode enemies for very, very consistent, sometimes flat out massive damage. And again, you don't even have to build him up this way. You want to make him somebody who's running up with the daggers and stabbing people over and over again. He could be absolutely fantastic in that role as well. Whatever you want to do, whatever skill you need taken care of, whatever type of combat you want to see filled, he can handle it for you. So I absolutely love the character. Definitely a big fan. And I'm looking forward to playing with him in the full game. So tell me what you think. Do you think this build works? Does it give you a greater appreciation for what Woljif is able to do? Let me know down in the comments, and let me know if there's another particular build that you would look for me to do next. Otherwise, if you enjoyed this, please leave me a like, subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video later on this week. Take care.